Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear audience and viewers and students everywhere on the globe, I welcome you back to my program, Do Teachers Teach Effectively? We've covered subtopics under this, but before we continue, I'd like to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us knowledge and to benefit us from this knowledge. Allahumma rzuqna ilman wanfa'na bima 'allamtana. Ameen. Today, it's really a good day for all of us because we will have opportunity to review what we have studied in the last 10 episodes or more even. And today we are going to hear the trainees more than you are going to hear me, and this is a good opportunity to review all what we have studied. A good opportunity again for those who did not attend, and a good opportunity for those who attended and were not focusing well. And now I'm quite sure that we'll see something creative. I'm not going to add anything new in this episode. Rather, it will be a review of what we have studied. Brother Abdurrahman is going to present something to us, summing up his experience of what he has learned from the previous episodes. Please.
Hush, little baby, pure and small. He created you, he created us all. Hush, little baby, don't.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Today, we are going to have a summary of whatever we have learned in this brief training session that we have attended for the past few days. This summary I will present in a graphical manner. Specifically, it's called a fishbone model of concept mapping. So I begin with the tail of the fish. As you all can see, it has ineffective teaching written on it. So we begin with the teaching methods which were ineffective, and inshallah, applying the techniques and the skills and the knowledge which we have learned over the past few days, we will move towards an effective teaching methodology, inshallah. So to begin, the first concept is an interactive classroom and interactive session. The first important point is a three-way communication. What do you mean by three-way communication? Three-way communication is a communication between the teacher and the students, between the students themselves, and also the whole class with the entire class altogether. The second point, which is most important in this subtitle, is to let the students take charge. Many a times, we have teachers being a Superman teacher, taking complete control over the class. But when we give students the opportunity to take charge, to take active participation in the class, we increase the level of interaction in the class. Moving on, how can we make the class more interactive? We have to engage all of the students. That is, we can engage them by having something called as concept mapping. What is concept mapping? You teach the students some concept, and you ask them to study the concept and give them a way to graphically represent that concept by way of a chart, or how I have done right now. Whatever I have learned from Sheikh, I have graphically put it down on a presentation. So in that way, we can engage the students to have the concept jotted down. But
the focus here is, you mean engaging all students, not some students. Okay, good. Jazakallah khair. Continue.
Yes. Then, when we do all of these activities, a question pops up: where do we have the time? How can I engage all of the students to come up to the stage and do some activity? And then where's the time to explain the lesson? So we have to have a very effective use of time. We have to do multitasking. We cannot focus on one student and let the rest of the class play among themselves. So we need to effectively use the time at hand so that we could engage all of the students as well as teach the portion that we are supposed to finish in the term. Moving on, how can we achieve that? How can we achieve multitasking? How can we make the class more engaging? By employing a wide variety of teaching methods. The point which comes first is in the use of role plays. Whatever we teach the students, we can ask them to enact that part so that it is graphically and vividly imprinted in their brains what they have studied, and the retention of the concept is also a lot. Then we have various props. While teaching, I can link the concept with a prop. For example, if I'm teaching a poetry or a poem which talks about a thunder or a strike, a loud strike, I can take a duster and strike it hard on some surface, by which the students will relate what I'm teaching with a physical object or a physical prop. Then we have various games, and we all know that all of the students, they like playing games. And when we teach the students along with playing games with them, when we weave teaching and the game together, that means that the students are able to recollect and have the concept that we are teaching embedded into them when they play the game.
Okay, what I understand from this is that the use of wide variety of teaching methods has one purpose, is that to make this variety in order to help students overcome the boring situations. And at the same time, you want to address the needs of all students because students learn in different ways.
Exactly.
Okay.
What we have realized over the years, all the research that has gone in, is that if you employ only one type of teaching method, it leads to a lot of disparity in the class, wherein the students who are able to cope with that teaching method, they increase and they zoom up, while the ones who need a slightly different type of teaching method, they lag behind.
This is
so
good.
if we employ a wide variety, we make sure that all of the students, all of them are engaged, and all they increase their level of what they were. Then
The effective use of resource.
the next one is the effective use of resources. If you have role plays, if you have games, if you have props, you need to have an effective use of the resources which you have. The most common resources that we find in schools are the library. We can use this resource, which is hardly used, by the way. We can get the students to visit the library, to read the books, to arrange the books, and inculcate in them the habit of reading. Then we have the internet, one of the most vast and the resource which can be used the most in this time and age, the age of technology, is the internet. If we teach students how to research on the internet and how to gain knowledge by surfing some of the good websites, we can really increase their knowledge way beyond the textbook learning. The only learning that students get is from the textbook. But if we increase that field of knowledge to the internet, of course, under our supervision, then the students can learn much, much more. Then we have the playground, which we can link with the other, what I have covered as games in the previous point of wide variety of teaching methods, is when we have a playground, let us not only use it for the students to play and for physical education. If we can relate what we are teaching them in the playground, for example, if I am teaching the children about the battles fought by the Muslims, I can use the playground to be as a map, wherein I can show them where were the camping grounds, where were the battlefields, where were the soldiers treated, where were the masajid. In that way, the students have real life thing in front of them that they can visualize. They don't only need to study from the books, but they have it in field in front of them, and they can gauge the enormity, or they can gauge the scale at what I'm talking to them.
Yeah,
so that would help
you mean
them.
close to real life. It's not
Yes,
real life.
as close to real life.
Yes, but also I'd like to draw the attention of the students and the audience that when we talk about resources, these are not only the resources that there are many other resources, definitely. The picture, even the objects, small objects are good resources if you know how to use them.
Exactly.
Jazakallah
Sheikh.
khair.
Then we move on to the next point, that is links. Now, I have taught the children all of these points. If I cannot link it, the students will not understand. I have it in my brain that all these things are connected, but unless the students understand the links, it will be of no use.
I would say they understand, but it would be limited understand.
Yes, they do understand there is some link, but to reinforce the understanding, to increase and cement that understanding in their mind, we need to have various points discussed. The first would be the cause and effect. If I do this, what is going to happen? If I'm teaching this, how is it going to affect your life? For example, if I'm teaching them the Quran, I need to tell them from the Quran that if I do this, then I will go to hellfire. And if I do this, then I'll go to Jannah. So they need to know why a person, when he's put in hellfire, why is he put there? One more thing, which I would like to relate to you in the link section, is that nowadays it is very important to have a link between all of the subjects. Like Quran can be linked to science, so that the student can understand of the very many scientific miracles, the scientific facts which are mentioned in the Quran.
Can make links.
And we can make links so that there's better understanding and the student doesn't feel bored. Then we also have link to the previous lesson so that the students can correlate whatever has been taught to him all through the year. By telling the students that whatever they are taught, whatever concept that they are taught, whatever lessons that they are taught, let them relate it. We can give them an assignment that if I'm teaching them something from the Quran or something from the Hadith, then what is the real life example? Like what's happening locally, what's happening nationally, what's happening internationally that relates with what we have learned in the previous class or what we have learned throughout the year. That's called something that's
or your
called
own experiences.
Yes.
Your own personal
Yes,
experience.
what's happening in your house, your relationship with your parents, your neighbors, your co-students, your faculty, all of this. How do you relate that to what you are learning? How has your life changed after you have learned whatever that has been taught to you in your schooling life?
I will think that it would be a good idea to take a break right now.
Yeah.
We covered half of the fish right now. We'll take the other half, inshallah, when we come back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Hush, little baby, breathing so calm.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. We are going to continue eating the fish. Okay, Brother Abdurrahman.
Assalamu alaikum again. Okay, so as Sheikh said, we have already finished eating half of the fish. I'll serve you the other half. Okay, moving forward to the next point is differentiation. Now, we know that all of the students in the class are not equal. All of them have different potentials. It's our job as teachers to differentiate between the different levels of the students.
Before that, we diagnose that. We identify that, okay.
To do that, we have an evaluation test. Before the term begins, or in the initial stages of the term, we can give the students an evaluation test by which we can gauge which student is having, we can gauge as to which student is having edge over the other students. But we have to be careful because the students who are at a higher level may get overconfident, or the greater danger is the students who realize that they are not as bright or do not have an edge over some of the other students. They may feel dejected. Because of that, we need to maintain a secret diary. Let not the students know that we have evaluated you, what are the marks, what I think about you. But whatever I learn about them, let me incorporate it in my lesson plan without the students knowing. Then we have remedial work. Our job is not only to bifurcate the students into the smart ones or the ones who need a little bit work, but our job is to have students who are lagging behind, to let them catch up, to raise the level to the ones who are good. So we suggest, so what we have to do is have remedial work. We need to have some exercises by which the students can catch up to the ones who are ahead. Moving forward.
Before we move forward,
Yes.
I'd like to say that when we make a diagnostic test, which you said that evaluation test,
Yes.
we need to identify the strengths and the weaknesses.
Yes.
And there's no problem at all in sharing with the students themselves. I meet every student, I say that according to the evaluation of your level, I found that you are good in these points and you need extra work in these points. To share the strengths and the weaknesses with each individual students is also important.
Yes, that's something we can do, really.
Okay.
But what I was speaking about is, let not the marks be distributed or
Okay.
given out in front of the entire
Of course,
class.
of course.
Then moving forward, we have the point of high expectations. High expectations. In this competitive world, the level of students is increasing. What we know, the students who are learning know much more than us. If we compare ourselves with what our parents knew at this age, obviously we know more because knowledge is so freely available. So we cannot set the same standards for the students of all generations. So we need high expectations from them. How do we
No,
achieve?
we put for them high expectations. The expectations is ours, and we want to raise them to these expectations. That's what we say by raising the bar. Okay, good?
So we set new standards. What do new standards mean? The standards which were set according to the level of the students perhaps 20 to 25 years ago. We cannot judge the students today by using the same standards because the students have progressed. We need to raise the bar. We need to set new standards to judge the students and to make them excel, make them better than what they are now. Moving forward, we gauge the progress of students. I'll give you a brief example. For example, I have a class of 20 students, and in that class of 20 students, the students are having about 80% of the marks. So according to me, that student who's having 80% marks is the best student because I am comparing the students within the class. But if I compare the same students with the next class or another school or at the international level, then really can I know that what is the real standard. But we need to keep in mind that we cannot gauge the students by having different tests. We need to have a common test, and we should encourage the students to participate in common tests which are held at the international, national, as well as the state levels. In that way, we can really gauge what is the level of our students and where we can aspire to go. Moving forward, we have the point of distributive focus. Now, when we are teaching in class, it is not necessary that we teach only knowledge. That was the concept of the previous times. Knowledge in itself is important, but knowledge today has to be combined with various other things like concepts as well as skills. Because a student who only has knowledge but cannot implement his knowledge by displaying skills, he is not reached the level of students today. So we have knowledge, we have concepts. When the students is taught the concepts thoroughly, in that way the student does not have to by heart all of that which he learns. He just needs to learn the concept well, and he can apply the concept to whatever situation, because the world is very dynamic today.
Good.
Then we have something called skills. How can the student who has the knowledge, who has the concepts, how can he implement this knowledge and concepts?
It's because of the nature of every subject matter has different skills.
Yes.
It's not just knowledge and concept, it has skills. So these skills need to be acquired by students as well.
Yes.
Jazakallahu khair.
All of the subjects, they have various skills related to them. So it is not only important for the student to know knowledge of that subject and the concepts, but also the skills which are related to that subject to be competitive in this day and age. Moving forward, we have a good balance between team and individual work. Now, to make the students as team players and to allow students to think independently, we as teachers play a very important point, a very important part. How can we achieve that? We can achieve this by dividing the lessons which we are teaching students into the part which we can give the students to prepare individually, or the part of the lesson which can be done by collective effort.
We prepare some activities
Yes.
and tasks to address these two issues. Some of them would focus on work independently, and some of them will focus on working collaboratively.
Yes.
So when we design the tasks and activities, we bear in mind that we have this balance between the two of them. Good?
Yes. So when we design the tasks for our class, we need to make sure that the tasks are divided into individual tasks and the ones which are collective tasks, so that we can better have a good balance between team and individual work. Then sometimes we may face the problem that when we give a task which is to be done collectively, we find some of the students who are smarter or who have an edge, they do all of the work, and the other students who aren't up to their level, they are left behind. How can we overcome this? What needs to be done is, whenever a task is given to the students, make sure that the students in the collective groups aren't able to solve the entire task. Let the task be set at a level which is 2 steps ahead of what they can easily do.
What you mean is that to make it challenging for them.
Yes.
Okay, not easy task.
Yes. When we make the task challenging, when we make a task which even the best student has to think twice, he will take the opinion of all of the people in the group, and that's how we will encourage a collective effort. And also, when we have the individual tasks which are given to the students, we need to have the tasks which are 1 step ahead of the students. Because what happens is, if the tasks which are given are of the same level, then the students will never progress. To have a gradual progression of the students, we need to set tasks which are challenging. They always challenge, they tickle the brain, so that the student is coerced, is encouraged to learn, to understand, and to question the concepts, and that's how we increase the level of the students. We started with the tail of the fish, which is called ineffective teaching, what we were doing for all these years. And now, after attending the workshop, we have learned all of these points. We have incorporated all of the points, and we end up with the final product, that is effective teaching. And as you said, yes, of course, the fish is smiling because it's happy that it has helped us to teach the students more effectively, inshallah.
Good. Jazakallah khairan. Come here and stand beside me. It's over, I think, in the next episode, I'd like to get feedback from you for him and for us, how to develop it to make it in a better way. It's very good, but we can make it better, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Done a good job. Jazakallah khair.
Hush, little baby, pure and small, He created you, He created us all. Hush, little baby, don't you fear, we're never alone when Allah's so near. Hush, little baby, breathing so calm,